Hi, I'm Brad Morrison with Mountain View Players. Tired of being cooped up all winter long? Tired of your old lady complaining about this and that? Let's give her something to complain about. Come on down and see us here at Mountain View Players. We got a great selection on side-by-sides, ATVs, and even a few snowmobiles. We also have products for the kids. We've also been known to do a deal over a good old bottle of tequila, or hell, even a simple coin flip. It's always easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission, so come see us, Mountain View Players.
Hello everybody, welcome to 3YT, and welcome to the second of the two Mountain View Classic Twin 150s here from Lucas Oil Raceways in Indianapolis, Indiana, and it's actually in Claremont, which is just a suburb of Indianapolis, but nonetheless, this is going to be a spectacular show. In fact, we got 125 laps tonight. That race has been slightly shortened from the 150 laps that was originally scheduled due to some fuel concerns. They want to make sure that these drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end of tonight's race, but that's going to be something that we're going to keep in mind here tonight. It's 25 laps shorter than previously scheduled, which is going to make this race just a little bit more intense. And of course, tonight is the second of the two Mountain View Classic Twin races. The first one last night at Myrtle Beach Speedway, won by Jason Templeton in the number 39 machine. But I'll tell you what, that number 39 machine is not here tonight. So the prize pool, $100 going to the winner, $50 to second, and then the third place finisher and also a random driver also receiving cash prizes for these twin races is going to be up for grabs tonight. And after this race is over, we'll figure out who will make it and get that extra money. Of course, joining me in the booth here tonight is Carlos Acosta. But Carlos, they're already gritting down there. So why don't we go through tonight's starting lineup, Carlos? Yeah, Travis McKinney, Travis Barnes, a pair of Travises on row number 6. Nick Bellamy, Ryan Gormley, row 7. Sean Reitzman, Adam Holm, row number 8. Josh Robinson, Thomas O'Hara, row number 9. Brian Payne, Garrett Huffines, row number 10. And row number 11. And rounding out the field is your top 2 finishers from last night's race at Myrtle Beach, Bart Hector Jr. and Casey Tillman. In fact, they're the top 2 racing. Like I said, Jason Templeton not in this one, but Casey Tillman finished second last night. He will start shotgun on the field, and Bart Hector finished third last night, so he will start this one from the 21st position. In fact, let's go back to last night. Like I said, Templeton got the win, Tillman second, Hector third, Casey Garber, Shane Quinn, good showings in 4th and 5th. Seth Frazier, Travis McKinney, Nick Bellamy, Cameron Doyle, Rusty Webb rounded out that top 5. We'll figure out who will walk away with the prize money. Of course, that prize money has been put up by Brad Morrison's Mountain View Polaris in Moses Lake, Washington. If you need an ATV side-by-side or anything of the sort, go check them out. But the green flag is about to drop here in the second of the 2 Mountain View Classic Twin 150s. And the number 76 of Eric Cheney on the loud pedal already, and green flag as they head off into turn number 1, Carlos. Well, I'll tell you what, we're getting a quick comment in the chat that you might need to turn on your mic.
Hey, shout out to my mic Carlos being muted. How are you guys doing? I am fine. I've been talking this whole time.
Well, yeah, Carlos led us through the first couple laps there and really saying how tumultuous it was. Rusty Webb now your new race leader in the number 88 machines. Dylan Huffines in the 7 machine up to second, but your pole sitter, the driver of the 76 machine, Eric Cheney, has slid back to 4th, but keep an eye on Seth Frazier. He was a good finisher last night. Of course, league admin now all the way up into the 3rd position. That number 32 machine finished just outside the top 5 last night in 6th position. So as of right now, Seth Frazier looking good to possibly take that $100 brought to you by Mountain View Polaris in Moses Lake, Washington. But they're just now working out of turn number 2. And this is a very difficult track to pass at, Carlos. It is variably banked. And you can see all of those drivers up there on that high groove using that little bit extra banking. And we saw Rusty Webb do a good job going down on the bottom on the first lap, getting that race lead from the 76 of Cheney. But as of right now, Seth Frazier trying to use that inside groove to take the 2nd position away from the number 7 of Dylan Huffines right up here. And in fact, it looks like Seth Frazier going to dive it off into turn number 3 and 4 and make that stick. So looks like Frazier, gets a little bit sideways there coming out of turn number 4, hangs on to it. And that number 32 machine starting to move towards the front, closing in on that 88 of Rusty Webb.
Yep, 125 laps of this scheduled event. As Peter mentioned, it was shortened tonight due to fuel concerns. That does kind of make some of these drivers breathe a little bit easier, knowing they don't have to kill their tires as much compared to what it was originally scheduled to 150 laps. But Peter, will those 25 last laps honestly make a difference to these drivers?
Oh yeah, I think so considerably, because now you have to save tires for 25 laps less. Of course, one of the rules here in the NorthWest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products is the fact that you're not allowed to change tires. And so, oh wow, the fishtail there.
Behind the wrecking!
Machine. Oh yeah, there is a big wreck there. That's the number 92, Casey Tillman, last night's runner-up. Already in a bit of trouble here, as well as the number 42. That, of course, is driven by Garrett Huffines, and there they had to come in together up off the corner. Doesn't look like too much damage on the number 92 of Casey Tillman, but the 42 of Huffines nosed it into the wall quite considerably. Let's see what happened here from high above in the helicopter cam. Oh, there's the initial contact between Josh Robinson and the 92 and 42 machines. So looks like already we're under the first caution here tonight. And Carlos, we saw quite a few cautions last night at Myrtle Beach. There you go, Tillman and Robinson coming together. and going around. So I'm wondering if tonight's going to be a little bit of a repeat of last night. I know in the drivers' meeting here earlier for the Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products, the kind of admin said, all right, we don't want to have as many cautions as we had last time, but we want to have a lot of green flag racing, but already working the first caution here on lap number 10.
Yeah, where these drivers, they're a little bit frustrated. They know that they did not drive how they wanted to drive last night, and of course, not everybody is to blame. But there was a lot of give and very little take. The admins were very, very clear about what they expected from tonight. They know, these drivers know they're capable of running this whole race under green flag conditions, and already having an early caution. I'm sure that they're not too happy. I'm sure the management is not too happy with this going on right now. That being said,
but I'll tell you what, Carlos.
Oh, what's up?
I'll tell you what. When you have a lot of cautions, man, it is an action-packed race. And even though there were a few cautions last night at Myrtle Beach, they put on a fantastic show. I mean, they do each and every week here in the Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products. A lot of these drivers in this race are actually real drivers in the Northwest portion of the United States, driving super late models, etc. But I'll tell you what, even though they know how to get it done, sometimes, you get a little bit ambitious, a little bit overzealous. I think that's what we saw last night at Myrtle Beach. Very different racetrack to this one, very difficult to pass last night, but a lot of good close racing throughout the pack in that race, and I expect to see more of that here tonight. You see the number 44 of Gormley. And Carlos, we haven't really mentioned the point standings up until now in this race, and of course coming into this week it was pretty much a three-way battle up at the top with Shane Quinn just on the outside looking in, but Seth Frazier, Ryan Gormley, Bart Hector Jr. pretty much separated by just a couple of points, and this weekend is very unique. Basically what they're going to do is they're going to calculate points from last night's event at Myrtle Beach, and then they're going to calculate points for this event here at Lucas Oil Raceway, and the best of the two nights is what's going to count towards your point tally. So Seth Frazier last night came away with a just outside the top 5 with a 6th place finish. Shane Quinn got a fifth last night. Bart Hector with a 3rd place last night. So really the one who didn't have a great night last night was Ryan Gormley, finishing down quite a ways back. So Gormley's looking to hopefully turn that around with a good finish here tonight to get his season back on track. Of course, Ryan Gormley, the rookie sensation, Carlos, has been on an absolute tear until Martinsville a couple weeks back. And Martinsville, it looked like things kind of went sour for him, and now he's trying to get back to the point in the point standings. But I'll tell you what, Carlos, the pace car lights are off, and we're going to get set to go back to green flag action here in just a second.
That's true. As you caught me at a bad time. Pace car is going to get ready. As Pace is going to get ready to pull off, it pulls off right now as first and second place side by side, getting ready to take off. We'll see if anybody's getting cut. If anybody's going to get caught falling asleep behind the wheel, or worst case scenario, any wrecks happen very similar to the clash this afternoon. No issues going on so far as the 80 Rusty Webb gets a massive run across the start-finish line, clearing the 32 into turn 1, having no threats behind them, as Seth Frazier is also clear of any drivers going side by side. As a matter of fact, these first 5 vehicles, I would say probably the first 9 vehicles, are all pretty much cleared up, and as soon as I started saying that, we got a battle for the lead, Peter, between the 32, Seth Frazier, and the 88 of Rusty Webb.
Yeah, Seth Frazier dives it off into turn number 1 very late on those brakes, and he's going to roll through the center of the corner. And Seth Frazier, new race leader here at Lucas Oil Raceways. Also want to highlight the 44 machine of Ryan Gormley, because he's worked his way now all the way up into the 6th position. He started
the 96!
Casey Garber in the 96 has gone around here on the front stretch, and we are now working the second caution of the night. There he is, getting that thing pointed back straight. Let's see exactly what happened here. And looked like possibly a little bit of contact there from the number 7 machine. That is, of course, driven by Dylan Huffines. Let's see if we can get this possibly an aerial view to see if there was indeed contact. You see the 7 down there on the bottom just kind of washed up. It was very tight, potentially a little bit of net code, but it didn't quite look like he was clear, Carlos. And this is kind of a racetrack where you're going to want to get up to that high line to A, save your tires, but B, also run very fast, as I see a little bit of lag there on the racetrack currently, but looks like everything's sorted out. But unfortunately, that didn't quite work out for Casey Garber. Of course, Garber, one of those with a fantastic fourth-place finisher last night, and hoping to get that $100 put up by the Mountain View Polaris. But of course, you can still get the $50 or $25 prizes as well. But the top prize goes to the highest average finisher of the two Mountain View Classic Twin races here tonight. But why don't we step away possibly here for just a brief moment, give some commercials to some of the sponsors here of the Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products.
Hi, I'm Brad Morrison with Mountain View Polaris. Tired of being cooped up all winter long? Tired of your old lady complaining about this and that? Let's give her something to complain about. Come on down and see us here at Mountain View Polaris. We got a great selection on side-by-sides, ATVs, and even a few snowmobiles. We also have products for the kids. We've also been known to do a deal over a good old bottle of tequila, or hell, even a simple coin flip. It's always easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So come see us, Mountain View Polaris.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis, Indiana. We've had two cautions here tonight, just about to finish up the second of the two. But Carlos, one thing that's very, very interesting that I'm seeing on the leaderboard is the fact that we have some real comers and goers in this race so far. Ryan Gormley is all the way up into the fourth position. That's plus 10 spots from the start of the race. You have Sean Brightsman, he's all the way up, nearing the top 5. That's quite a ways forward to where he started back in the 16th position or so. 15th position, excuse me. So it's going to be very interesting to see if this continues to play dividends for some of the drivers who are a little bit further back. Looks like they're working their way through the field quite nicely, but the green flag is back in the air. Seth Frazier is down and away, and I'll tell you what, he got an absolute monster start. They're really tough.
Oh, wrecking behind!
For about... Oh, big pileup in turn number 1. The 48 machine, Travis McKee's gone around. A lot of front-end damage on that machine. Let's see if we can go see what happened. This is going to be the third caution of the night. Oh, the number 14 machine, that is driven by Isaiah Gill. Had it coming together with McKinney there. And let's see if we can get another angle on that from high atop. There's the 14 machine. Oh, looks like Gill might have caught the outside wall there, Carlos. Bounced back down in front of the 48. You see a couple of the other cars getting involved. The Dial 911 machine, the 8 machine, Travis Barnes getting a piece of it. In fact, that 8 car has quite a crinkled front end. Let's see this. Keep an eye on that bright blue machine. There he goes right into it. Nowhere for him to go. Nick Bellamy getting a piece of it. You can see Adam Holm right there at the back end of it. But this is going to be the third caution here tonight. Riding on board here with Travis Barnes. You can see that contact with the outside wall. The sparks flying and just nowhere for him to go. And was able to keep it off the outside retaining wall, which is good for him. Hopefully not any major damage to that number 8 machine. I know we've seen a couple times this season, Carlos, some of these cars looked really crinkled up, but it looks like, over the year that we have seen, you can still finish quite well with a fairly damaged race car. So hopefully for Barnes, he'll be able to get back into it. But nonetheless, we're now working the third caution here tonight. And that man right there, the 32 of Seth Frazier, your race leader, hoping to get that $100 from Mountain View Polaris and Moses Lake, Washington for being the highest place finisher. Very, very cool, of course, to see someone like Mountain View Polaris putting up some prize money for these drivers, and $100. I'll tell you what, that's a decent chunk of change there, Carlos. It'd be nice to kind of have that in my wallet here going forward, but it's these drivers on tracks that's going to be the ones vying for it.
Yeah, that's something I would definitely want to have in my wallet right about now too as well. But we got a couple interesting notes to mention. Before the restart there, we did have a couple drivers go to the garage and end their race a little early. That's a 74 of Brian Payne and the number 42 of Garrett Huffines. So those two drivers, unfortunately, are out of the race. I don't believe they're allowed to come back once they leave. But yeah, Peter, what's going on? Very early, 27 laps in, we already have 3 cautions. I'm sure they're not too happy knowing that that's a number that exists right there. But the setups are designed to be hard to drive. They're designed to be difficult to drive. That's one of the key things that was talked about and worked on before the season began and implemented for this season. Last season, a couple of races were a little bit hard to drive in the way that it was just incredibly tight. But now they wanted to make it incredibly difficult by making it loose. And, well, when you introduce a loose factor, you can introduce some of these drivers spinning out and getting involved in accidents that they don't want to be in, Peter. But so far, what's going on that you are seeing out there that you're liking?
Well, I'm liking the fact there's a lot of side-by-side racing, and I said it before we went back to green that we've seen a lot of drivers kind of work their way up through the field by making passes like Ryan Gormley, and we also highlighted the fact that Gormley needs a good night after not having a good night last night at Myrtle Beach, and so him already getting his way up inside the top 5 and being able to make a couple passes on the restarts, it's a positive thing to see as a spectator as well as a commentator, because it means the racetrack is pretty racy at this current point in time. But you see the sun setting and the track conditions will continue to change. We'll see if we can bring up the current track temperature here, but it is currently at 90 degrees Fahrenheit. There you go, you can see it on the screen, but the air temperature 87, so that will continue to drop as this race continues on, and that should give these drivers a little bit more grip, which might offset the tire wear. So for that man right there, Seth Frazier, I'm sure he's kind of considering that. I know Seth Frazier, kind of a very calculation-based man. Sometimes he and that number 32 machine kind of goes off strategy and has got some good results because of it. The pace car is on pit road. Rusty Webb sitting in second. Can he keep up with the 32 of Seth Frazier on this restart? There goes Frazier on the loud pedal, and he's going to get about a 6 car length advantage going off into turn number 1. Huge jump for that number 32. Ryan Gormley and Joshua Beal going side by side. That's a battle for the 3rd position right behind Rusty Webb in the 88. And they battle their way down the backstretch going off into 3 and 4. Gormley trying to hook up right down there on the bottom, unable to do so. You see him cranking that car, running that car off the right rear, getting a little bit sideways, and that's opened the door here for Shane Quinn. Shane Quinn, one of those drivers with a good finish last night. Shane Quinn, now I think he's going to get around the outside of Gormley. Can he complete the pass here going off into turn number 3? Unable to do it just yet, but Carlos, that outside line is starting to become more powerful as this run continues on, as the tires wear out, and Shane Quinn now is in the 4th position in the number 4, so 4 for 4 for Shane Quinn as of right now. But we got a side-by-side battle now for the 2nd position as Joshua Beal's taking it down to the inside of Rusty Webb. And I'll tell you who's liking this, Carlos, the 32 of Seth Frazier. Yeah,
Seth Frazier's having a great time right now, knowing that the cars behind them are just battling side by side, battling each other into a corner. Something I've noticed is, aside from the racing pretty much having to be on the outside line, nobody wants to touch the inside, and getting loose off in the exit. It's also a little bit difficult slowing down your vehicle. A couple laps ago, we were on board with the 46, I believe, of Sean Brightsman. He kind of locked up his front ends a little bit, entering the corner, and actually moved up and smacked the outside wall. I'm not sure if this is something that everybody's experiencing with. So we see a couple vehicles also smacking the outside wall, exiting the corner. But that could be something that's noteworthy.
Oh my goodness, sorry to interrupt, Carlos, but Adam Holm was doing a little bit of extracurriculars there in turn number 3 and 4, and he was trying to do some stunt driving, going two-wheeling it through turn number 3. Maybe a little bit of help there, Carlos? I don't know. But luckily that dial 911 machine is still going, although it looks like he's about to drag it down pit road as we speak. Let's see, yes, the 92.
Yeah, a little bit of help.
Oh, yeah. A little bump there from behind, and unfortunately for Adam Holm, he is taking that thing down pit road at a slow speed of only 26 miles an hour. Not the way he wanted to finish this night. Hopefully he can get things fixed up, and possibly a couple lucky dogs might get him back to the lead lap, but not looking all too good for the dial 911 machine. But it's looking good for these two, second and third on your screen right now, doing battle, Joshua Beal and Rusty Webb. But here comes Shane Quinn, Carlos. Quinn using that outside. Quinn in the outside.
That's what I was talking about. He locked up the front ends and just would not turn. So these drivers have to worry about slowing down into the corner. These drivers there, they know where he's doing it again. Let's go on board and see if we can listen into when he locks up those tires, if he actually does. It's difficult to get in the corner. Hold on. Yeah, he did it again right there. He's locking up that front end. Either the Ford has incredible amount of front brake to prevent the car from spinning out into the corner, or these, just by default, these vehicles have massive amount of front brake. Whatever those things is, that's two vehicles we've noticing that's been locking up the front end and going kind of like side up against into the wall very early in the corner. So Peter, as a race car driver, and it's a pretty good one, may I mention, how would you combat this issue?
Well, you just got to pick up your corners as much as possible, kind of let the car roll on entry. I know it is very difficult to do that. Casey Tillman was running just a little bit lower on the racetrack. As you can see, Gormley's got around Shane Quinn now after Quinn's had his kerfuffles with the outside wall. And now he finds himself back in 5th and Gormley in 4th. But you just got to back up your corners. The bad news for Shane Quinn is now that right front damage is just going to make that race car a little bit tighter. And that is just not going to help with the tire wear, especially because we still have 84 laps to go this time by. Here we go a little bit further back. Nick Bellamy down there on the inside of the racetrack. This is a battle for the 7th position,
the 8th position.
8th position, excuse me, because Travis Barnes had just gotten the 7th position away from Christopher Himes. So Travis Barnes with that front end damage from that last accident, he's now worked his way into the top 7. Sean Brightsman in the Federated Auto Parts Impala SS, he's got himself up into the top 6, and he's closing in on this battle, which is really a 5-car battle now for the 2nd position. From Rusty Webb on back through Brightsman, you could pretty much throw a blanket on them. You can't throw a blanket on your race leader, though. Seth Frazier scooted away to a 3-second lead. There he is, and you can see there's no one around him. So Carlos, if I'm Seth Frazier, I'm thinking about possibly backing things up, trying to save some tire, as we still have a long way to go. And the inability to change tires here in the Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products, it kind of throws an interesting wrench in the works, because saving tire is going to be important. But Seth Frazier being very, very smooth out there right now. But this is a fantastic battle for the 2nd position. This is really where we need to focus. There's a little bit of side-by-side action towards the back of the pack. Currently Eric Cheney and Bart Hector Jr. I know Aunt Kathy. Cheney in the outside wall, so that should get that position to the 82 of Hector Jr. I know Aunt Kathy going to be rooting for Bart Hector Jr. tonight. Hector Jr. finishing 3rd in last night's event, as we have previously mentioned. 47, Josh Robinson in the inside
Caution is
wall.
out.
Caution is in the air. There he is. Luckily, he got back going, kind of did a 360 off that inside wall. Here we go from the grandstand camp. And I think, Carlos, I think he might have just got loose on his own down there trying to get underneath
No,
Cheney.
I think there was contact. I think the 47 got tied off and made some slight contact.
Oh yeah, it was very slight if there was any contact there, Carlos. Very light. But of course, that is the point on the racetrack where the race car is going to be very light. So just a small little bit of contact will turn that race car around. You can see he already had a little bit of slip angle on that race car when there might have been a little bit of contact. So a little bit of slip angle, your tires losing grip. Yeah, I can definitely see how just a little bit of a nudge could spin you right around into the inside wall. But nonetheless, there is your race leader. He didn't want to see that caution because he had a 3-second race lead, and now that has all been thrown away. But Carlos, why don't we step away here for just a brief moment and play a quick commercial and be right back here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Hi, I'm Brad Morrison with Mountain View Players. Tired of being cooped up all winter long? Tired of your old lady complaining about this and that? Let's give her something to complain about. Come on down and see us here at Mountain View Players. We got a great selection on side-by-sides, ATVs, and even a few snowmobiles. We also have products for the kids. We've also been known to do a deal over a good old bottle of tequila, or hell, even a simple coin flip. It's always easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So come see us, Mountain View Players.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucas Oil Raceway. And you see your race leader, Seth Frazier. Pace car lights are off. We're going to get set to go back to green flag action here, but do want to give a few shout outs to those people in the chat here tonight. Jake Crable, Dean Quinn, and Kathy, of course, Nicole Wilson, Persia Drake, and Pale Monkey. So make sure you light up the chat, and we will be interacting with you as much as possible. So got a big wave to those people. But we are not going green here. It looks like the green flag has been waved off. So that's going to be a bit of unfortunate for the drivers. They have to go around at around 30 miles an hour for another lap. Actually, pace speed's at 50 miles an hour here tonight. But it will go single file, like you said, Carlos.
Quick interesting fact is Kathy confirms that Pale Monkey is her son. So anyway, the quick fact is that the initial rule book states that these are double file restarts, but race management does have the option to make it single file restarts should they believe that the drivers are getting a little too rowdy out there. As Peter, we're about to go back to green.
Yeah, green flag about to be thrown here. Race back in the hands of that man in the 32 machine, Seth Frazier. Rusty Webb, good showing for him. Not many races for Rusty Webb this season, and he is currently running in the second position. As you see all those race cars go over the bumps. It's a pretty bumpy racetrack, this one. And once again, the 32 of Seth Frazier scoots away just a little bit. Got clean air on the nose of that Mike Wood Race Designs machine, and he is sailing off into the sunset here. But it is Rusty Webb holding up a little bit of a gaggle right. Oh, Shane Quinn just got wicked loose coming out of the corner. Good save for Shane Quinn, but now to his outside, Sean Bryceman trying to fill that right rear quarter panel of Shane Quinn's machine, unable to do so. Quinn's going to hold on to that spot. There's Nick Bellamy poking his nose out there briefly. But you see Shane Quinn running just a little bit lower on the racetrack, and that allowed Bryceman to almost make that move, as Joshua Beal is looking very, very racy on the back end of the 88 of Rusty Webb, as we see the Dial 911 machine of Adam Baum back out there on the racetrack. 20th position for him, 18 laps down, now 19 laps down as your race leader flashes by. Definitely not the night that Halm wanted, but hopefully he can pick up a couple spots due to attrition. Travis McKinney in the 48 also multiple laps down. He's the first car one or more laps down, sitting 19th, 4 markers off the race leader. Here you see the 47 Josh Robinson. Looks like he didn't get all too much damage from that accident a couple minutes ago, so that's good news for him. In the 47, I know he didn't quite have the night he wanted last night at Myrtle Beach, so hoping he can have a good finish tonight. There's Breitzman in the 46. He was the center of attention early in last night's race, and he's already working his way up into the top 6 and trying to keep that 46 a little bit cleaner than he did last night. Not really anything of his own doing last night, but here he is tonight with a good showing so far. But here comes Gormley there, Carlos, to the inside of that 112 of Joshua Beal. We've seen Gormley try and make this pass a couple of times. Gormley slides up the racetrack a little bit, very tight through turn number 3 and 4, leaning on each other a little bit, and Gormley has to back out of it. Now here's the thing, can Shane Quinn fill the spot left by that 44 machine? It looks like he's going to. We've seen this earlier, Carlos, where Shane Quinn was able to use that high line to his advantage. Oh, the 112 and the 4 both bouncing off the outside wall coming out of turn number 2. The action is heating up here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Yeah, the 112 and the 4 were bouncing off the wall, and the 44 was skilling his tires, getting loose off the corner. Something I've noticed with Ryan Gormley is he tends to give it just a little bit too much bean touching the corners, and while it isn't enough to spin him out, it has resulted in some bad tire management these last couple races. As we have another caution, Eric Shaney spinning out, getting a little, dropping a little smoke as he gets himself back up. Let's take a look at the replay and see just what happened. Hitting the wall, getting checked up from the wall, and the 14 honestly had nowhere to go. Getting placed in a bad spot at the bad time, turning to 76. It'll be interesting to see who's going to tap out on that. I think the 76 may be the one tapping out on that one.
Yeah, he definitely caught the outside wall. You saw those flying from the right side of that number 76 machine. Doesn't look like all too much damage on either of those race cars. The 14 of Isaiah Gill is currently on pit road right here in front of the commentary box, but yeah, you can see just how much that outside wall slowed up that number 76 machine. In fact, Isaiah Gill currently taking tires on that number 14 machine, so I believe that might be him calling it quits for the night. We'll have to wait and see. Eric Cheney, though, still out there on the racetrack. Of course, he's currently being scored as the last car on the lead lap. This will help Travis McKinney's cause because he will now only be 3 laps down. There he is getting the wave around past the pace car. And so he has 3 more markers to make up, currently running in the 19th position. Isaiah Gill has taken it to the garage, yes, just like you said, Carlos. So tough break for him. Of course, he's I don't think he's had any starts this year. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Carlos, but I think this is the first time we've seen that number 14 on the racetrack, and hopefully we'll get to see him a little bit more, but definitely not his night here at Lucas Oil Raceway this time around. Well, let's see if we can look at the current scoring pylon, and maybe we can see if we drag someone up here into 3-wide TV booth for a quick word.
Sounds like a great idea. What do you have, Peter?
Let's see if we can drag up your race leader, driver of number 32 machine, Seth Frazier, here for a quick interview. Seth Frazier, Peter Short in the 3-wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, man, so far so good for that number 32 Mike Wood Race Designs machine. How's it driving out there?
Really good so far. I'm just trying to save some tire and make sure I don't burn this thing off for the last run here.
Well, you're up to about a 3-second lead, just 2 green flag runs ago. And what goes through your mind as a race leader with that kind of lead when a caution flag comes out?
Well, you're not really happy to see it. It's just this early in the race, it's really crucial not to try to get too big a lead and burn your stuff up. And then when you do have a caution, everyone gets bunched up. You'll be out to lunch. So I've just been trying to keep the tires underneath me.
Yeah, I've noticed that you are very, very smooth. Once you got that 3-second lead, in fact, Carlos and I were talking about the fact that once you have that type of lead, you can kind of just manage it, save your tires, and watch that rear view mirror and watch your relative to the other cars. So just kind of figure out how to save your tires. Is that kind of what goes through your head as well?
Yeah, I try to keep an eye on the relative and see if the 4 or the 44 gets to second place. And if they get there, then I'll probably turn it up a little bit.
All right, well, the pace car lights are off. We'll let you get back to it. Best of luck, Seth.
Thanks, guys.
All right, well, that is your race leader, the number 32 machine. There he is right there on your screen. We'll have to see if we can possibly talk to some of the other contenders here in the near future, but the pace car is back on pit road. It's going to be 60 laps even once we go back green. There he is, Seth Frazier, once again waiting on the green flag. And watch, he's going to dip back down to the bottom of the racetrack. And there he goes on the loud pedal. Good restart for him. Once again, getting quite a few car lengths on Rusty Webb as they go off into turn number 1. And now we have Shane Quinn in the 4th position. Gormley was able to hold on to the 5th position. It looked like he might have lost that 5th position to the 46th of Brightsman, but the caution flag flew at an opportune time to allow Gormley to stay in the 5th position. So Gormley 5th behind the 4 of Shane Quinn, 6th place Sean Brightsman, and then in 7th spot we have Nick Bellamy. Bellamy's worked his way forward here, Carlos. He's got around Travis Barnes somewhat recently, and Barnes fishtailing there coming out of turn number 2, so possibly Barnes starting to struggle with the back end of that number 8 machine, as we see once again Joshua Beal ducking underneath Rusty Webb, kind of showing his nose, but nothing to show for it just yet.
Yeah, you really have to be able to time those pass attempts. Very crucially, of course, we only have 125 laps in this race, 25 less laps than originally scheduled, but it's hot, it's slick, and it's very difficult to pass, and these tires are gonna wear out fast. As I predict the 44 may be one of the first drivers to start slowing down due to tire wear, considering how many times he is trying to pass on the inside and how many times he gets loose. So the 112 and all these drivers need to understand that when they're gonna make a pass, it's gotta count. Otherwise, you're gonna risk killing your tires up for pretty much nothing and almost essentially ruin your race.
Yeah, and one thing I'm noticing, Carlos, and this goes back to something I said just a few laps ago, Trev has been starting to lose touch with the 2nd through 7th place battle. So a little bit of a gap developing between those two, and that's allowing BJ Tidrick in the 72 machine as Sean Brightsman throws some sparks there on the top side of turn number 3 and 4, trying to get everything of it. But it's going to be a battle for the 8th position here between Barnes and Tidrick in a lap or two. And also can't count out Casey Tillman in the number 92 machine, of course, coming off a 2nd place run last night in the first of the 2 Mountain View Classic Twin races. Of course, the prize pool brought to you by Mountain View Polaris in Moses Lake, Washington. So go check them out if you need an ATV or side-by-side or snowmobile or basically anything that Polaris makes, because Brad Morrison, the guy who's working there, he's a racer in this league, and tell him that the NorthWest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products sent you. But for right now, here comes the number 4 machine, Shane Quinn, as Beal bounces it off the wall. Quinn unable to do anything with it. He's going to slide back up into the 4th position, but I think a lot of these drivers, it's very difficult to pass out there right now, Carlos. You saw at the beginning of the race a lot of drivers able to make moves down there on the bottom, but all of a sudden I think the grip level has made it very, very difficult. But as I say that, Nick Bellamy's trying to charge to the inside of this man that we ride on board with, Sean Brightsman, in the 46, but unable to do anything.
These drivers do need to be careful. They gotta be careful exiting the corner, and almost more crucially, they gotta be careful entering the corner. You don't want to drive it in too deep. We just saw Sean Brightsman smack the outside wall getting into the corner just because of how often he is locking up his front tires. We're also seeing a couple other drivers do that. So if these drivers can manage those fenders and keep it clean and save their tires, they're in prime position to win this race. Something that's a little bit different from yesterday's race. Yesterday's race is that passing here is a little bit easier. We're taking a look at Travis Barnes getting a little loose. Anyway, compared to last night, those drivers that started in the back, the only way they were able to pretty much get up front was by some luck and a bunch of drivers getting involved in incidents. As we saw, Ryan Gormley pretty much spent the majority of that race towards the back half of the top 10, and he got himself up towards the top 5 with a couple laps to go. Unfortunately, got spun out and resulted in a bad finish for Ryan Gormley. Ryan Gormley, he went from, let's take a look, he went from...
Carlos, sorry to interrupt, but
All
the
right.
number 8 machine of Travis Barnes
Still
up in the outside wall, yeah. Definitely struggling with the right side of that race car. You see him fishtailing out of the corner, doing everything he can, but that number 8 machine definitely struggling out there right now.
You can take a look at that angle he's taking. He's actually taking a little bit of a sharp intro to that corner, and it's kind of costing his exit just a little bit. As Peter, the way he's well, not this time, but the last couple of times he's been taking that corner, he's been noticeably more on the inside in the first part of the corner compared to other drivers, and then slowly widening it back out.
Carlos, the number 88 machine of Rusty Webb just went up to the wall, scraped the wall. It opened the door for Joshua Beal, but Beal's going to duck back in. I thought that might have been Beal's opportunity to make that pass, but unable to do anything just yet, as we still have this gaggle of cars from 2nd all the way back to 7th. And over the last few laps, Travis Barnes hard in the outside wall once again, kind of bounces off
he's
it.
loose.
And yeah, he's just having a rough time of it out there. Casey Tillman going to see if he can pull that position from Travis Barnes here on the inside.
Travis Barnes needs to be a little bit careful. He is one of the 3 drivers this race that is currently under probation due to actions of what was going on last night. That means that if he has a single strike for this race, he is automatically given a black flag and has to go home, compared to the normal 2 black flags or 2 strikes that the driver would get. So he's been smacking that wall and driving it hard, exiting the corner. He does not have a car that he wants to drive right now, and I think he may be pushing it just a little bit too hard, but only time will tell, seeing how Travis Barnes will be handling the rest of this race.
44 laps to go, 43 this time by, and Nick Lemmy trying to use that inside groove. Here comes Joshua Beal down on the inside groove once again, still trying to get around Rusty Webb, unable to do so. Shane Quinn, I think, is trying to figure out what to do, whether or not he's going to go with that 112 machine or the 88, but laps are fairly quickly winding down here, Carlos. The lap times around this joint are in the 22-second bracket, so it's not going to be all too long if we stay caution-free until the checkered flag comes out. But right now, Sean Brightsman in the 6th position, also trying to make some moves back there. And look at Ryan Gormley go way up the racetrack, starting to see some cars fishtail. So I think this is the point in the race where tire management is going to start to come to fruition. If you saved your tires, you might be able to make some pass, but I think if you haven't saved your tires, it's going to be near on impossible to make a move, just based on the grip levels I'm seeing out there on the racetrack on the lower grooves.
Yeah, taking a look at Travis Barnes, he's giving it he's definitely driving aggressive. The last couple laps, he has been smacking the outside wall once again. Definitely unique angle of attacks that he has been approaching these corners. And Peter, I'm not quite sure they're working, and the car's kind of showing that it definitely is not.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Kathy, your secret is safe with us, as that number 8 machine, yeah, like you said, Carlos, still just unable to find anything to...
Oh, no!
Oh, big wreck up ahead! The 4, the 112, the 92, the 8, the 46, hard in the outside wall. Big wreck here at Lucas Oil Raceway, and that is some of your top 10 contenders, top 5 contenders, as we dial up the replay, but caution flag is in the air. And my, oh my, that's going to take out some big names in this one. In fact, a couple contenders for the $100 put up by Mountain View Polaris. We'll see if, here we go, dial this one up. Ooh, the 112 and the 4 looked like there was a coming together there, and you see this in the slow-mo The 8 machine once again nowhere to go, pounding into the side of Breitzman. Breitzman backs it hard into the outside. Well, there goes Bart Hector Jr. squeaking by in the 82 machine. He's going to add a couple spots out of this ordeal. Well, let's see if we can dial up that read one more time from up above. Carlos, can we go back maybe just a little bit more as you see those cars scattering all over the racetrack there? Here we go. 4 in the 112. Okay, slow-mo. This is a relatively new feature. And, a little bit of contact there, Carlos. I think there was a little bit of contact right in the center of the corner that might have loosened up the 112 machine. And he got the power down as quick as possible and ended up losing the back end of it. So I think it was kind of a two-step process to that accident. I don't exactly know if there was any physical contact between the 4 and 112 that caused the 112 to get loose, or whether that was a little bit of net code. But definitely some beating and banging in the corners, and that's kind of what this type of racing lends itself to. It's so difficult to pass. There is inevitably going to be some contact.
That's true. There was contact, and that's a racing incident to me. Both of these drivers are giving it their all. Unfortunately, that's right about the point where the back end's very, very light off the ground, and a simple tap. I'm sure even a simple tap like with your hand would probably at those speeds will probably spin that car around. And these two drivers spun out. A couple other drivers involved, including the 8, who has not been having a good time right now, but. Taking a look at some of the drivers that were involved, we have the 8 of Travis Barnes. So we do have a supporter, Kerry Turner, in the chat saying Travis is really trying and he shouldn't be giving up. That's racing. So Travis, no matter how frustrating your night is going right now, you have a fan that's supporting you. We got Sean Breitzman, heavy damage, going back down pit road. Josh Robinson, a couple other drivers that were involved. However, Travis McKinney, he is currently 2 laps down. I'm not quite sure. Peter, you may have to correct me. He did not get the lucky dog. I believe Josh Robinson has gotten the lucky dog. But 2 laps down, it seemed pretty promising for Travis McKinney. But now that the racing is kind of like spread out, and we've gone a good distance, we only have 35 laps left. It's becoming a little harder for Travis McKinney to get his lap back.
Yeah, that was about a 22-lap green flag run. I think when we went back to green flag action, there was 60 laps to go. So, 22 laps, the longest green flag run of the night so far. Hopefully we can go clean and green to the checkered flag once we get back to the racing action. That man right there, Seth Frazier, didn't want to see that caution. He hasn't wanted to see most of them here tonight because his race lead has been erased once again. Rusty Webb and Ryan Gormley. How about this night for Gormley? We mentioned earlier he needed a good night after a disaster of a night last night, and he is in 3rd position, getting a lot of passing points because currently he's up 11 positions, Carlos, from where he started tonight's race back in the 14th position. So very impressive to see that out of Gormley with how difficult it's been to pass, and he doesn't have a scratch on the car, much like Seth Frazier. So Gormley, I think, is being patient and not being involved in the accident that we just had definitely helped out. But pace car back on pit road. Race in the hand of that man right there. 33 laps to go for the number 32 machine. And you see all those race cars head down the front stretch off into turn number 1. Here comes Ryan Gormley. He's going to dive it off into turn number 1. Late on the brakes, trying to get that thing rotated in the center of the corner with the right rear of the race car, unable to get around the 88 of Rusty Webb. He's going to slot in right in front of the number 20 of Nick Bellamy. What a night for Bellamy it's been. He's plus 9 spots. And Casey Tillman started this thing back in 22nd. He's now in 5th. Plus 17 spots, and remember, Casey Tillman has a shout. Caution, big wreck in the back.
Oh, wow.
Quite a few cars around, and that's Casey Tillman. Oh my goodness, commentators curse strikes for Casey Tillman.
Hit the
running in the
wall.
5th position. Oh boy, it's not the first time. Oh, BJ Tidrick, my goodness, a tornado has hit BJ Tidrick in the 72 machine, spins him right around. But in the 92 in the outside wall bounces back into the path of the 80 of Hector into Casey Garber, and oof. Christopher Heim bouncing off that 72 machine, sending the 72 right around. I think we're riding on board with that Rustic Moon 72 machine of BJ Tidrick here. There's the accident, puts on the brakes, and no, man, it looked good for him there for a split second. But Tillman coming back up the racetrack, and I'll tell you what, Tillman's number 92 machine is crabbing out there on the racetrack. I don't see anyone taking this caution. It's kind of one of those racing deals, not the first time we've seen it tonight, Carlos, where a car gets into the outside wall, and when it does, the car behind doesn't have much time to react at all.
It's one of those difficult situations, and I'm not quite sure how race management is going to assign blame on that one. I have my own personal ideas, but it's best to leave the officials to officiate and have them come up with their own decision. 30 laps to go. Seth Frazier, normally I would be very, as a driver, I would be very concerned with restarts, especially if you're dominating and leading like that. But I just think with the hot rod that Seth has, and how Ryan Gormley and Rusty Webb are more concerned at racing each other and trying to, at least Gormley's trying to get past Rusty Webb to get to second. If I'm Seth Frazier, these restarts, I think he's going to be pretty much A-okay. The only way that changes is if Ryan Gormley gets a fantastic restart and is able to pass Rusty Webb, and then a caution comes out, because Ryan Gormley, he is proving to be no slouch on these restarts, as the rookie sensation has been trying and getting closer and closer to passing second place of Rusty Webb.
In fact, let's see if we can dial up that number 88 machine here quickly for a quick word. Rusty Webb, Peter Short in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good out there on the racetrack, currently running in the second position. Of course, Seth Frazier has been able to scoot away from you on some of these restarts, but it's another restart. It's a whole new ball game every time that caution flag comes out. First off, any chances of getting around that number 32 machine, and what are your thoughts about how to do it? And also, you have a very fast-charging 44 machine right behind you. How are you going to stay where you are to fend him off?
Yeah, I don't think I got anything for the 32. He's out there. My tires are shot. I'm gonna do my best to try to hold up the 44, but I'm not sure it's gonna happen. I'm a little slower than the guys behind me.
Well, you've done a fantastic job here in one of your only starts here in the Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products this year. How difficult is it to kind of jump back in the super late model after being off for a while?
Yeah, it's pretty tough to get back used to things. I have been off for quite a while.
Well, definitely putting on a good show here tonight for the Rusty Webb fans out there. I'm sure Paul Ross will be watching this one, but I'll let you get back to it. Best of luck there, Rusty.
Thank you.
Going to be one fantastic restart here as the pace car is off. The 32 is going to be ready to pull off. The 88 looked inside for a little bit, and he realized what he was doing and backed off. That was incredibly costly for Rusty Webb. Rusty Webb blocking down into turn one, knowing what Gormley did. Gormley also didn't get the best restart as well, but it seems like, Peter, it's very, very tame for the guy second and back as Seth Frazier is back up to the front.
Yeah, and here comes Ryan Gormley trying to get that second position. This is as close as he's to getting that second position from Rusty Webb. He sails it off into turn number 1 and 2. Slide job, and Ryan Gormley, new P2 here at Lucas Oil Raceway. And Rusty Webb's fears have come to fruition. And at number 44, what can he do? The rookie sensation of Gormley. Can he close in on the 32 machine of Seth Frazier? Has Seth Frazier saved enough tires as your race leader as these laps wind down? Now under 25 laps to go. There is the gap. Last time by Seth Frazier, just a fraction of a second faster than the 44 machine, but we'll keep an eye on that here over the next 5 laps to kind of get a 5-lap average.
You're right there, Peter. Oh, that's not very good. Peter, you there?
Yeah, I got all choked up over 5-lap averages. I guess they're a big deal. We got this battle right here between Rusty Webb and the 20 and Nick Bellamy.
Yeah, it definitely sounded like you got choked up there. Why don't you take a little moment there, my friend, drink some water, as top 2, top 3 is pretty much a little bit spread out as we see Bart Hector Jr. getting himself back in, getting himself to 5th place, moving up as why don't we quickly take a look at some of the highest movers out there. We were talking about Ryan Gormley being one of the higher movers out there, up 10 positions, not currently up 12. But also, we have Bart Hector Jr., who's currently plus 16. I believe there was another driver, but he got moved down a little. But Bart Hector Jr. has been on a rail right now, plus 16 positions. And while he's not going to be getting those passing points, he is definitely moving up in a hurry and trying to get past Nick Bellamy, Rusty Webb, to try to chase down Ryan Gormley and possibly Seth Frazier. So I know Aunt Kathy's watching, and she is having a great time knowing that Bart Hector Jr. is having a fantastic race.
All right, well, I'm back to life here in my side of the 3-wide TV booth, but here comes Hector. He's kind of showing his nose underneath the 20 of Bellamy, just kind of riding in that 5th position as of right now, trying to see if he can close in on the 88 of Rusty Webb. But I promised you 5 lap averages, and ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Gormley over the last 5 laps, he's been faster than Seth Frazier, but only by 1/100th of a second. So over 5 laps, that's 5/100ths of a second.
Oh, caution.
And caution is out.
Travis Barnes.
Travis Barnes in the 8 machine
Sean
going
Breitzman.
around. Yeah, there's a couple of cars. I think the 92
Oh, wow.
also.
They had nothing to do with it. The
oh.
92 of Casey Tillman
Yeah.
was up against the wall.
That number 92 machine has been grabbing. I've been keeping an eye on that number 92 because it is already bent up out of shape and doing a little bit of extracurriculars, much like Adam Holm did earlier in the race, getting on 2 wheels, and Tillman's going to drag that thing now down pit road, maybe trying to get some of that damage fixed, but from high atop, got really close with Travis McKinney there, and I think Tillman reacted to that, made contact with the outside wall, and that thing just wanted to pole vault over that outside retaining wall. Here we go once again, and unfortunately for Breitzman and Travis Barnes, nowhere to go, but that's been the story of their weekend, both the 46 and the 8. Oof, man, that is an absolute monster of a hit for the 8 machine. Surprised he can drive away, but Travis Barnes still out there in that 8 car trying to plug away, currently down in the 14th position. So barring anything drastic, it's not going to be the night that Travis was hoping for. Same for Breitzman, as Breitzman is on pit road to get some of that damage repaired. But at least for Seth Frazier and Ryan Gormley, they're setting up for a darn good finish, and we've seen how hard charging Gormley is on these restarts. I mean, last one he was absolutely brutal to get past Rusty Webb. And can Nick Bellamy replicate what Ryan Gormley did? Can he get by Rusty Webb here in the closing laps?
Not just Nick Bellamy, but can Bart Hector Jr. also do the same thing? He's been proven fast today, moving up a lot. And now that we've got these restarts, and I was mentioning Seth Frazier, I think now the panic level is starting to rise up a little, as he had to deal with Rusty Webb, who wasn't, I mean, he was definitely trying, but he wasn't doing the same moves that Ryan Gormley was, at least that he was doing to Rusty Webb. So Gormley now being behind Seth Frazier, and with the research that Gormley's been having, panic level is climbing up just a little.
Got to give a shout out to Rusty Webb in the 3rd position there. Not a scratch on that 88 machine, which is a testament to his driving ability. When looking throughout the field, there aren't many cars with no damage. One of those drivers is Bart Hector, Rusty Webb. Gormley's car looks mostly clean. A little bit of a crinkled right front fender as he goes past us here on the front stretch. Seth Frazier, of course, up front, he doesn't have any scratches on that number 32 machine. But we'll see if that continues, because we're going to have a 13-lap shootout here at Lucas Oil Raceway.
Yeah, the 82 of Bart Hector Jr. now having a scratch is a testament to his driving. Gormley did have to move up a lot of spots, but Bart Hector Jr. moved up even more than Gormley, and that car is cleaner, Peter.
Yeah. Casey Tillman has been shown the black flag in the number 92 machine. Unfortunately, his night will come to an end, but the green flag is being flown for the rest of the field because Seth Frazier is on the loud pedal, and he got a pretty good jump over Ryan Gormley. Not as good of a jump as he's gotten the last few times. And Gormley hard charging here around the outside, going to try and keep that momentum up here down the back stretch to close in on your race leader. We look out back of Seth Fraser's 32 Mike Wood Race Designs machine. Mike Wood often in the chat.
Pardon me about
yeah,
that,
definitely.
Peter, but the 44 arrived. Gormley got very tight trying to chase down. Now you can chalk that up to a rookie mistake, as the rookie sensation is definitely not prone. All these drivers are not prone to making these rookie mistakes. It's 44 getting a little overly ambitious and overshooting it just a lap or two ago.
Well, the other thing that Gormley's going to have to fight now that he's right behind Seth Fraser is a little bit of aero push, because these super late models produce a lot of downforce, especially with the speeds they're going, upwards of 100 miles an hour, down to about 90 right at the apex of the corners. But up on the straightaways, they're getting about 130 miles an hour at the end of the straights. So, you know, these are fast race cars. They produce a lot of downforce, and when you're tucked up behind someone who's pretty much equal on pace as you, it can be very difficult to make that move just due to the aerodynamic effects of these race cars. But we got a side-by-side battle now brewing for the third position between Bellamy and Rusty Webb. At least it was side-by-side for a split second. Looks like Bart Hector was thinking of possibly making a move on Bellamy, because this man right here, Bart Hector, trying to come away with the $100, the highest average place finisher of the two Mountain View Classic Twin races, could be the 82 of Hector. It could also be the 32 of Seth Fraser. Fraser had a good night last night. It'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out in 8 laps from now. So far, nothing that the 44 of Gormley can do. I think Fraser's actually moved up the racetrack a little bit. I think he's changed his racing line just a smidgen to try and block Gormley. Gormley's been running higher up on the racetrack, and Seth Fraser's now ventured up there. We've seen Fraser kind of diamonding the corners to help save his tires, but all of a sudden, he's now much higher up on the racetrack to kind of keep Gormley in check behind him. You see Gormley using just a little bit higher groove, gonna get some clean air on the nose. That's gonna help the aero push behavior that I was mentioning a little bit earlier ago. And Gormley almost in the outside wall, just flirted with the white walls around this racetrack, getting a little bit loose off the corner, just a little bit of a twitch there. But Gormley here putting on as much pressure as he can to your race leader, Seth Fraser.
Yeah, these two drivers are going by as pretty much as hard as they can without hitting the wall, and Ryan Gormley's doing his best to not lock up that front end. He did it just a couple of moments ago and didn't hit the wall, but he did lose some time in the way. I'm not quite sure. Kind of seemed like he may have evened out with the angle that he got off exiting the corner, but that's not something that he wants to do every time.
We also have a side-by-side battle for the 5th position. Bart Hector Jr. is being challenged by the 4 machine of Shane Quinn. And looks like Shane Quinn's going to take that position. And Bart Hector Jr.'s got to be careful, because Dylan Huffines is also looking for that. But that's a good battle. Hector Jr. actually going to hold on to it, gets that spot back from Shane Quinn. Good racing there between those two as we go back up to the front, where Gormley has all but caught that number 32 machine, as we have 4 laps to go around this very unique racetrack. It's 0.69 miles in length. There's no other racetrack at 0.69 miles to best of my knowledge. But for right now, Seth Fraser up front, leading the way at the start-finish line. Only 3 laps to go, and look at this. Here comes Dylan Huffines underneath Shane Quinn. This is a battle for 6th position, so some very good battles out here in the closing laps. Gormley unable to do anything with your race leader just yet. Seth Fraser keeping an eye on that one. Your top 2 have really scooted away from Nick Bellamy, who has gotten around Rusty Webb. Wow, we missed that one. So Bellamy now in the 3rd position. That happened a couple laps ago. Good for Nick Bellamy now sitting on the podium. Webb now slides back to 4th, and here comes Hector Jr. Hector Jr. trying to make a move as we watch this checkered flag out in the air for the number 32 machine. Gormley gets loose out of the final corner. Seth Fraser takes the checkered flag, and there you see that battle for the 4th position.
Oh, the wrecking behind.
Contact the 8 machine, Travis Barnes, up on his side going across the start-finish line. 47 of Robinson involved, and the 48 of Travis McKinney. Man, couple of those drivers. Also, looks like Christopher Hyman's all in that scuffle. Yeah, a couple cars there. Ooh, Eric Cheney in the 76 impaling the inside wall. But there is top 3 finishers. Nick Bellamy in 3rd, Ryan Gormley 2nd, and Seth Frazier taking home the victory here tonight. Burning it down here on the front stretch to plaster all the fans with the smell of smoke so they can go home smelling like some burned rubber.
Oh, there's a legal check.
Up at the outside wall. Yeah, just got to make it legal. That's right, Carlos. But that number 32 machine is going to back it right over that Kroger sign right there at the start-finish line. And Mike Wood Races signs going to victory lane here. And we're going to step away for just a brief moment. We're going to try and calculate who is going to be your winner of your prizes that have been given to you by Mountain View Polaris here. And it should be very, very interesting to see. But Carlos, let's step away for just a brief moment. We'll be right back here on 3Y TV. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucas Oil Raceway, and some quick calculations which have been done as Carlos is going to line up our top 3 finishers from tonight's race. But what everyone's been waiting for is who won the $100 given to the NorthWest store presented by Joe's Racing Products by Mountain View Polaris is the winner of tonight's race, Seth Frazier, with an average finish of 3.5. Just pipped the number 82 machine of Bart Hector Jr., who's going to come up second, still get $50 for the average of the 2 finishes over the last 2 nights. And your third best average finisher from the last 2 nights is the number 20 machine of Nick Bellamy, who we're going to talk to here in just a brief second. So let me see if I can drag him up into the booth.
That was hard.
Hi.
Well, it was hard, Nick Bellamy. I'll just leave that one there. I'm not going to say anything further. But Nick, congratulations on the 3rd place finish tonight on the racetrack, but also congratulations on a 3rd place finish in the overall average over the last 2 nights. A good run last night, a good run tonight. A 5.5 place average will net you a $25 bonus here tonight. Tell us a little bit about your race and a little bit about your winnings.
Oh, last night had a bit of an adventure with some of the drivers, so I think I ended up getting DQ'd. So I got last place points for last night. But tonight was just the opportunity to come out and redeem myself, and did just that with some tight racing. Very hard to pass.
Well, that is going to put a kink in things, which is very unfortunate. But tonight you had a good run in that number 20 machine, and there was a lot of chaos in tonight's race. I mean, tell us how you got through it all.
Well, it helps a little bit that this particular setup is the one I built, and everybody voted on it and decided to use it for the race. And it ended up not being my favorite. I didn't vote on my own setup, but I had a good time racing with everybody and got fortunate with some accidents and ability to pass some on the inside. It was very tough to pass.
Yeah, it was definitely very difficult to pass. It looked like it from up here in the booth, but you were able to make that move on Rusty Web there right towards the end. Tell us how that pass went down and how you were able to nick that third position.
Well, you could be faster than the car in front of you, but that doesn't technically mean you can get around him. So I knew as the laps were winding down, I had to use one of my runs and just give it what it was worth. And fortunately, coming out of 2, I don't know whether he was coming down or I was coming up or a combination of the both, but we got contact. And we were able to straighten her out and finish 3-4, so I was happy with that.
Well, definitely a good run here tonight after what is now, sounds like presumably a disqualification of last night, last place points. So good bounce back for you. Of course, it is the best of the 2 nights for these Mountain View Classic twin races that will net you points. So definitely what you were looking for out there on the racetrack. But before we let you go, you got any shout outs for us?
I'd like to thank QPM, my sponsor, Better Hall, my parents at home watching, just Shane Quinn. He puts a lot of time in here racing with me, and we just make each other faster. I know he had a better night, I believe, last night, but like you said, best points pull it out, and I was just fortunate to have this bounce back, seeming that last place points, and tonight we were able to.
All right, Nick. Well, the next race that we go to is out in the desert at Phoenix, and should be a good one there. I believe it's the Mission Valley Super Oval 150. What are your thoughts about going to Phoenix?
Phoenix is one of my most confident tracks, but I know I say this pretty often and have yet to do it, but I do believe I'll win there.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can hold you to it when we go to that racetrack here in just a couple weeks' time. I do believe it is 2 weeks from tonight when we go out to the desert, but best of luck at Phoenix in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Well, let's see if we can dial up the second place finisher, Ryan Gormley in the 44, Carlos. And Gormley was really needing a good night after last night's race. Didn't go to plan.
No, it did not, and I'm here with Ryan Gormley. And Ryan, first of all, I do want to apologize to you because I had no faith. Early on in this race, I saw you getting loose off the corners, and I thought you were giving it too much beans throughout the corners, and did not think your tires would last, and you would probably be dropping back about halfway towards the last half of the race. But you proved me wrong. You made me look like a fool, and I'm going to eat dirt because, Ryan, you ended up finishing second, and you, maybe in a couple laps, probably could have passed Seth Frazier for the lead. How was your race tonight?
Really good. Thanks, Carlos. Yeah, I was just in the zone. A little better outcome than last night, that's for sure.
Yeah, last night was definitely tough to pass. You did get up there towards the end. Unfortunately, things didn't work out for you. But finishing second tonight, with of course tonight being the best. These two races being the best finish of the night, going towards points. It's kind of makes last night a whole wash for you, and it's not. It's honestly like a drop race. So Ryan, leaving this weekend as being the rookie sensation driver you are, we have 3 races left to go. What's your approach?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just gotta forget about the bad races and gotta focus. With times like this, yesterday I actually have to think about, and forget about it and about the next race, kind of like the Mamba mentality.
That's true, and the differences, of course, between the last two races were more than just finishing results, as it definitely seemed a lot easier for you to be passing vehicles, as I believe you passed 12 vehicles tonight. How are the subtle differences between last night and today?
With this track, you got a lot of lanes to pass, and I was pretty comfortable getting it below the groove there, and not necessarily dive bombing, but just going into the corner as deep as I could, knowing it could hold. So, I was able to pass a bunch of people when we were double file, but pretty hard getting around the 112 and the 88. They were pretty good at taking up the whole track, but gotta do what I gotta do to get up to the south.
And you definitely did that, finishing second, getting yourself a nice points night overall throughout a very hard first race. But going into Phoenix next, 2 weeks from now, and then we got the last three stretches all back to back to back. What's your approach just for Phoenix and how that track is for you?
I really like Phoenix because each corner is different, and so you got to approach it different. Every entry, every exit's different. So I like that. I like the variability, and it makes it pretty challenging, but else has got to do it too. So.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Before we do let you go, though, Ryan, do you have any shout-outs you want to give out?
Yeah, Town Square Media for being on the car, because that's where I work. My parents, mom and dad, down in Arizona. Hopefully I'll be getting down there to visit them sometime soon. My beautiful wife, all my family and friends that support me in racing.
All right, well, thank you so much, Ryan. Hopefully you have a nice week off and come back to Phoenix with an even better finish than what you had tonight. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, sounds good. And thanks to Mountain View Polaris, too. I appreciate it.
Yes, huge shout out to them for sponsoring such a fantastic event. All right, I believe that Peter Short has caught up with the race winner and winner of and somebody who's $100 richer. Peter.
Well, I'm actually seeing if I can get Seth Frazier in here. In fact, Carlos, can you work on that here just for a brief second? Yeah, he was down there, and all of a sudden he disappeared. But I do want to make a mention here while we're waiting on him being in here in Victory Lane is our third place finisher for the best average finish over the last few nights after the Nick Bellamy situation of him being disqualified last night. Looks like that's going to go to a tie between Shane Quinn and Casey Garber, both of those cars having a 6th place average over the last 2 nights, I do believe.
Seth is here.
Yes, he is here. All right, Carlos. So now that you've made it to Victory Lane there, Seth, congratulations on tonight. I mean, you dominated this race. You led so many laps, 110 of the 125 laps here tonight. You saved your tires enough to hold off a hard-charging number 44 machine. Looks like you were changing your line there right towards the end of a race. The race, tell us a little bit about it.
The car started to get tight. I think I overdid a little bit in the middle of the race and burned up the right front a little bit. So I was trying to maneuver the car around a little bit differently to help it turn. So.
Well, it was definitely a fantastic show here tonight. This is a racetrack that you had circled earlier this season to have a good finish at. And, you know, you saw the number 44 machine of Gormley get a lot of passing points tonight. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I knew Gormley needed a good points night. Last night he had a pretty rough night, so I knew he needed a good points night, and I didn't do all that hot in qualifying, so I needed to, I think, at least finish top 3 to really get more points than I did last night. So I'm good with wherever the points are going into Phoenix and Lanier and New Smyrna. I'm not a big fan of Lanier, but I like Phoenix and New Smyrna. I like my chances there.
Yeah, of course, New Smyrna will round out the season, but Phoenix in 2 weeks' time. It's going to be a very long race, 2 very long races to round out the season, 150 laps, 150 miles at Phoenix, and then I believe we have a 300-lap season finale coming up not too far in the future, but we have a fantastic points race there, Seth. And how important is it to you to kind of be in the points race at this point in the season, and have you been keeping an eye on those drop races and how those drop races are possibly going to affect the end result?
Well, I don't try to plan on using any drop races. Obviously, we're allowed to. I do think of the four of us that are me and Quinn and Hector and Gormley, I think I have the highest drop race still left to be used. So, at the next few races, I'm just going to try to be consistent. I'm not going to try to win the race. If it means, finishing second or third for the points, I'm probably going to take that route over the next few races. But Gormley and Hector and Quinn are all really fast. And on any given night, just on how the wrecks happen and everything else plays out, it's really a toss-up, I think, at this point to see who's going to win this thing.
Well, you definitely did as much as you could tonight, getting the checkered flag and leading 110 laps. Fantastic run for you. Before we let you go, you got some shout-outs for us?
I want to thank Brad Morrison. He's an awesome racer in the Northwest. He's a really talented driver, and he's really good for the whole sport of the Northwest. And he came on board this weekend and sponsored us and gave us a good chunk of change so we could have this event. And he has a business called Mountain View Polaris in Moses Lake. They have all sorts of awesome toys there for grown men to go check out, or women. A huge shout out to him and buddy Mike Wood back in Middlesex, North Carolina, for making us all look good with all these paint schemes. And other than that, you guys for putting this all on, and everybody else. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I got some good news for you there, Seth. Your average finish over last night and tonight, 3.5. Bart Hector Jr., 4th. So you had the best average finish over the 2 nights, which that comes with a pretty decent reward. So congratulations on that. And very cool, like you said, to have Mountain View Polaris on board out of Moses Lake, Washington, to give up some prize pool for these 2 races. Though not very often you see in sim racing a prize pool for just kind of a 2-night feature. And that's what we had. Very, very cool of them. But it'll be awesome to see that championship battle go forward. And we wish you best of luck over the next 2 races.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, Carlos, another fantastic night, and the 2 Mountain View Classic Twin races have come to a conclusion. Let's see if we can dial up the race results. Seth Frazier taking the checkered flag, and like I said, $100 to him from Mountain View Polaris. Ryan Gormley comes home second with a good points night here tonight. Nick Bellamy finishes in third, another driver who needed a good finish here tonight. Rusty Webb finishes in fourth, and good finish for him in that 88 machine. He actually had the 4th best average finish out of the drivers, with a 6.5 average finish over the last 2 nights. So good for him. Bart Hector Jr. comes home in 5th. He is going to take home $50 as the second runner-up of the average finishers over the last 2 nights. Dylan Huffines finishes in 6th. Shane Quinn and Casey Garber 7th and 8th. Those 2 drivers are going to presumably split the $25 reward for being the 3rd highest average place driver over the last 2 nights. Joshua Beal comes home in 9th. Christopher Heim going to round out your top 10, Carlos.
Yeah, Sean Brightsman finishing 11th with Thomas O'Hara in 12th. Travis Barnes not getting the results he wanted, finishes in 13th. BJ Tidrick in 14th. BJ having some heavy damage towards the end, involving an incident that kind of had him do a couple tilt-a-whirls. Travis McKinney finishing in 15th. Josh Robinson finishing 16th. Eric Shaney finishing 17th. Casey Tillman not having the night he wanted, finishing in 18th. Item Hallman and Down 911 also not having a good weekend as he did not have a good first race, also finishing in 19th, with Isaiah Gill in 20th, making, I believe, is his debut. 21st will be Brian Payne. He once again felt the pain again. That's back-to-back nights, with Garrett Huffines finishing in 22nd.
Yeah, and of course, we want to give a few shout-outs to some of the sponsors of the Northwest Tour presented by Joe's Racing Products. Of course, first one on that list is Joe's Racing Products. Of course, if you have any type of race car, go check them out, because they have plenty of racing products for you and your car. Northwest Super Late Model Series, the real-life Super Late Model Series that runs up in the Northwest portion of the United States. If you are located up there, even if you're not, go check them out. Go to a race, support your local racetrack. They put on a great show and some fairly lengthy races, so you will get your money's worth. Sargent's Place, Rustic Moon, Hermiston Raceway, Custom Fab, PFC Bricks, Pyrotech. For Pyrotech's actually pretty cool, because they're going to be giving away the season championship trophy which is going to be a helmet. So very, very cool. Titrix Quality Transmissions, Mike Wood Race Designs, NorthWest Race Report, Short Track Racer, Wenatchee Valley Super Oval, Mission Valley Super Oval, State Line Speedway, and of course Mountain View Polaris for jumping on board here this weekend and giving away some cash to some of these race car drivers. There is still, we haven't mentioned this here tonight, Carlos, but there is still $25 on the line to one random race driver in these two events. So that's another $25 yet to be determined from Mountain View Polaris. But we also want to give a few shout outs from 3 Wide TV for some of our supporters, SimTV for the awesome camera angles, and Thomas Morris at OCR for the graphics package. But for myself, Peter Short, and Carlos Acosta, we bid each and every one of you good night, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time at Phoenix International Raceway for the Super Valley Oval 150. See ya!